My very first question has to do with the number of political parties, 15 political parties that attended this discussion. I want to know, in terms of consensus or agreement, how many political parties agreed to the so-called retroactive law? How many agreed and how many didn't? That is one question. We have about 15 political parties. Also, I want to know why didn't Dr. Goodluck Jonathan himself speak to the media to, hold a news conference to talk to Gambian journalists? I want to know about that too. And then, yes, I think, and then, okay, the option people. We clearly had a lot of issues in accessing that. And the feeling outside there is that you were playing your cards too close to your chest, that you didn't want the public to really know what you are up to. You know, members of the media really struggled to lay their hands on this document. And there was this suspicion or feeling out there that really this process is highly suspect. What do you have to, say about that?
I can email it to you for you to be fully satisfied that there's nothing in it. I'm happy to email it to you. Give me your email and we will send it to you. Okay? Yeah. There's nothing magical about some of these, but it's okay. I mean, it's something which we can share, and I've been saying it. But in everything in life, there's timing, there's phasing, and there's sequencing. Right? If you are involved in track 1 or track 2 discussions in a context of dialogue, you also have to be mindful of what you bring in, at what point, who you bring in, at what stage, and what you say, at what level. It's just a fact of life. Even in our ordinary social relations, between you and I as friends, there are some things I can feel readily enabled to say to you, and there are some things I'll wait for you to finish eating before I break the news to you, and there are some things I say it's better for me to catch you in the morning before your head is filled with other things to tell you. You see my point? So don't read meaning into it, and when you get the paper, you will find that there is really not too much. Half of the paper is the biographies of the political parties, which we prepared for the eminent person, right? The biographies of each of the people, the key actors from President Barrow downwards, we summarized for him. He has his own team who will do research for him, but we say just in case, if you hear the name Adama Barrow, this is his biography, official. If you hear Usainu Dabo, this is his biography. That's part of the options from people that people are talking about. And then the 16 political parties, this is their history. And how many seats they have in parliament. And when were they registered, and so on and so forth. Information for him. And the others, summary of good practices, because I don't believe in best practices. I talk of good practices around the world on specific issues, 6 of them. That's it. So when you read it, let's talk again. And I'll be happy to engage with you or anybody else about it. Just hold on. Goodluck Jonathan did speak to the media twice.
No, the one I remember has to do with the one that when he met the president,
yes,
stand and go, short press.
Yeah.
Press
yeah.
That was compiled by the State House.
No, but don't you have State House representation?
They sent an invite.
Yes.
They sent that, but State House, the way and the manner in which their press conferences are done is just not the way to go about it.
Yeah, true.
We want answers to questions.
Well, so, true, and people were free to ask questions, and they asked him several questions, and he responded. But let me, I don't want to be...
Don't you think you would have...
No, hold on. I don't want to be, to sound evasive about it. But, factually, he spoke to the media twice. Secondly, on each of the occasions we came here, we raised against time. We raised against time. And I'll give you an example. After we finished the session on Saturday night, it was evident, given the menu of issues remaining, and significant progress was being made, that the plan to have a meeting first thing 9:30 a.m. on Sunday with the leaders of the parties not in parliament had to be cancelled. And we sent out messages that night to them to say, don't come before 2 p.m., please. When they came at 2 p.m., we were still locked in discussions with the parties in parliament. And the invitation to them was to, if you want, please have lunch whilst we finish. I think we finished in the end around 4 p.m. And we adjusted everything to say, okay, the session with the leaders of political parties not in parliament, the session with CSO leaders combined into one session, grand session, that enabled us to go up to about 6:30, 7 p.m. So he was against time. And remember, he's also the facilitator, ECOWAS facilitator for Bamako. He actually postponed his engagement in Bamako in order to privilege this as the first assignment for the new year. And his argument was simply that, well, there's time sensitivity about the Gambia. You know, things have to be we should have clarity before the end of January. Otherwise, there's really no point. And that's why he said 7th of January. He didn't have Christmas. We were working with him through the Christmas holidays on these clusters that I mentioned and going through the draft constitution to see what approaches could be taken and what questions he could put to individual leaders, from President Barrow to Senator Dabo to BB Dabo to all those whom he met one-on-one when he came back. So it wasn't out of anything mischievous. And I think it's also indicative of both the respect and and consideration, as well as the recognition of the key role of the media, that I stayed back. The last time you were with us at dinner, where again I said, look, let me lay it open, the same way I laid it open to the leaders of civil society. To say, here is what is going on, this is what we are hoping, and this is the approach that is being taken. And it's in that spirit that we are also having this press conference.
The reason I asked that is because it would appear that a lot of Gambians had interest in Dr. Goodluck Jonathan's coming to the Gambia.
Absolutely.
So it would have made more sense if he had, after all is done and dusted, if he had, engaged the media, because the State House a press conference, I don't call it a press conference. Yeah. There you go to, you want to ask certain uncomfortable questions, they block you and they say, news.
Yeah, no, but on...
If it were an independent situation such as this one, it would have made more sense.
But on this occasion, in fairness, there was no blockage. People asked very pointed questions, and he took all the questions.
I have my experience.
Yeah, no, I'm saying on this occasion. I'm not disputing your experience. I'm saying on this occasion,
yes.
I was there, and they asked him questions. And they were not questions that you can say are simple questions. They are similarly tough questions that were asked of him. And he answered, to the best of his ability. We are moving in the right direction. If one were to use an analogy, you say we have sighted Canaan. We are not yet there, but we sighted Canaan. And, and that answers your first question about the number of political parties. I think it's been a spirit of give and take. And some parties will obviously need to go back and do some more introspection and reflection on what works for them out of what has been discussed and what doesn't work yet. So it's not as if we've come to the very, very end. It's a political dialogue, it's a political process, but we seem to be on the right track and to be moving in a direction in which I said consideration, trust, mutual respect, ability to converse and, hear each other out has been established properly. I think that's an important step forward.
Yeah, but do you have an idea as to the amount of parties that agree to this? Because that is the most contentious issue here, the issue of the transition?
If you are witness to the last session with the combined session with the political party leaders and the civil society leaders, you would have seen political party leaders who got up and said that for the greater interest of the Gambia, they are prepared to let this issue of retroactivity rest. At least two of them. At least, no, hold on. I'm saying, if you were there, you would have seen political party leaders get up who openly declared before the hall, right? It was not a negotiation session anymore. It was an exchange session, an information sharing session. And in the end, I think, as I said, I don't really want to jeopardize what we have achieved so far. In the end, there will be some self-introspection that will have to take place on all sides. And a framework has been provided for that self-introspection to take place. We will be trying to build on that framework in order to then be able to say definitively that we have all or 100% on board, or we are in the right direction in this matter.